how much does it actually cost to start selling on Amazon? If I had $1, €1, or even £1 every time I got asked this question, I would have a lot. Let's get into it. All right, so before we get into a lot of the different costs in this business, I say costs because many of them are actually investments. I really want to preface this video by saying I don't like this video very much. And the reason I don't like this video is because a lot of these costs, like, people will get bogged down with them when really they're minor in the grand scheme of starting a business. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have to consider as well, like, when you're investing in a product, it's an investment that will come in, and whatever you invest, you're going to multiply the investment that you put in. So, like, you can look at it as a cost, but it's actually an investment that's going to make you money in the long run. That said, though, I am going to break down many of the numbers. This will be very simple, though, because I don't want to get into overly detailed, well, if your product is this size, this weight, and this dimension, because we'd be here all day. So with that said, the first thing you're going to need to do is utilize Amazon FBA. I know it's obvious, but I have to mention it because for some reason, people are getting obsessed with, like, seller fulfilled prime and lots of things like that, which you will never do. Well, at least I would never do. It's all about using Amazon's warehouses, Amazon's services, Amazon's processes to ship out your products to their customers every single day. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how much does it cost to actually use this service so that I can send my products out to people? And I thought I'd jump over to Amazon right now just to see what that looks like. So let's do that. So we're over on Amazon.com right now, and we're on this page. It's the pricing page. Now, when we scroll down, you can see they have a lot of information for if you're just starting out. You can actually look through all this to see what makes sense to you. If you scroll down here, though, at a very simple level, this is to get your seller account up and running. I would not recommend doing this straight away, by the way. You should really be in a position where you have products at least close to being on the way, and you get your business operational before you get your Amazon account. But I'll start here because that's where a lot of people will start. So I repeat, do not go and set this up right now if you don't have your company set up just yet. And we'll get the company set up in just a second. So this is what it looks like. This one here is what you're going to want to do. Professional. You do not want to do individual. $40 a month, pretty much. You can sell more than 40 items. You want to advertise your products. You want to qualify, blah, blah, blah. So everything you need is inside here. Now, to actually figure out the cost for your actual product in FBA, there's a little bit of work that goes into that. We do have calculators and stuff like that we give our clients to help them figure out all those costs well ahead of time. So I'm not going to get into that too much in this video because that is a complex thing. I'd rather keep this video higher level and a lot more simple. So that's the first thing a lot of people think about. Again, I would not start there. I would start with a company setup, which I'll talk to you about right now. Okay, so don't start your Amazon seller account. I'm making that very clear until you have a company in place at least. Now, why a company? Well, when you have a limited liability company or corporation in the US, in the UK, it's a limited company. Australia, I think it's a PTY. Every country has its own version of a limited company. And what that means is that whatever you put into the business, that's all that's at risk here. Whereas if you're a sole proprietor, you are the business and the business is you. So if something happened with your product, if there was something you owed or whatever in your business, that falls on you. With a limited company, in the eyes of the government, the world, that's a real entity. That's someone who is separate from you, who has its own life, weirdly. And that's the whole purpose of having a limited company. Now, to get one set up, you're going to be paying somewhere in the region of $300 or more at least. Sometimes you might get a less, but that's the kind of investment we're talking about. Do not skip this. You're a real business owner. You plan to have a real business that pays you real money every single month. Get your foundation in place, because when you have a company, you can go and get a bank account in that company's name. And that's what you're going to need to do in order to get verified on Amazon. You can't just have random this, random that. Set up a company properly, get yourself a proper address, and that's what you're going to want to do. And that's the kind of investment that we're talking about to get that set up. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is, of course, inventory. Now, to start a product on Amazon, you're going to want to be talking about $1,000 to $3,000 of an investment to get a product ordered. And if that scares you, well, to be honest with you, every business is going to scare you then, because no matter what you do, if you get into drop shipping or something like that, you're still going to have to put down at least that investment and likely a lot more in advertising and website builds and everything in between. So this is not a big investment. If you believe it is, That's something that, I can help you with, as can Marketplace Superheroes, because your belief system is not quite there just yet. So that's the kind of investment we're talking about to get the product ordered. Now, it depends on a lot of factors. The size of the product, the weight of the product, it depends on the cost price of the product as well. So for example, let's say you have a big product, it's big and it's bulky and it's therefore got a high price attached to it. So let's say the cost price, or the FOB, free on board, freight on board price, that's what we call it in the business. Let's say that was $20 a unit, which would be very high. The chances of you ordering 1,000 of that is minor. And that's the trouble with this industry that we are in right now. People will tell you, oh yeah, your first order is going to be 500 to 1,000 units. That's not always true though, because if the product is expensive like this and bulky like this, a much lesser amount of units can fill a container even. Therefore, you'd never place that kind of an order, potentially, but it depends. So 1,000 to 3,000 is about your ballpark for your inventory. Again, it could be less, it could be 500, it could be 800, it could be 2,500. So I would say if you sit in the middle at about $2,000, $1,500 to $2,000 for your product, that's about right. But like I say, it depends on a lot of factors, and do not listen to people when they tell you only sell small and light items, because why would you cut off all these different great products just because you don't understand something? And again, if you're feeling lost already, this is why you need a step-by-step system, and we can obviously help you with that. And you can click on the link down below this video to get access to some free training and get started into this. With that said, let's keep moving. Okay, so now we're gonna go down to barcodes. In order to sell your product on Amazon as a private label product, it's your brand and your brand on the product, you're going to need a barcode, an individual barcode for your product, or a GS1 barcode, right? Sometimes called UPCs, EANs, whatever. It's a barcode, okay? And the reason that you have to put money down for this is you've got to get a barcode that's universal in nature, and it's unique to you. Nobody else can own that. We used to recommend other ways of getting barcodes, but times have changed. Now we buy them from GS1. They are the official providers of barcodes. If you go onto the GS1 website in the US, you'll see that about $250 is what it's going to be for up to 10 barcodes. That's not very much. You need this to be able to sell. Again, if that freaks you out, if you're on a low budget, there's other things you can look to do to increase your initial capital, but you're going to have to put the money down to get this in place. So GS1 is where we buy them from. It's where you should buy them from as well. About $250, and there's a small renewal fee every single year to keep your product in the system, which is minor. It's not very much money, but it's very important that you do this. You cannot skip this step. That's barcodes. Next thing people wonder about is product labeling. Now, there's a lot of confusion in the industry around product labeling. Some people think that you've got to put Amazon's FBA sticker on your product, and that's not always true. The best way to get your product into Amazon is going to be to use your barcode on your product that Amazon can then scan, because it's worldwide. It's a global thing. In some cases, Amazon will come to you and say, there's a barcode conflict. You have to label your product with our label. The best way to label your items like that is to get it done by your supplier in the Far East, if that's where you're producing your products. It is not to bring it into somewhere else and get it labeled there. It will be more expensive. Amazon can do it as well, and it will be more expensive. So I highly recommend you get it done in the Far East, and that will simply become a part of your FOB price. But typically, you do not need to get your product labeled with Amazon sticker on it. You can just put your barcode. Now, if you're wondering about packaging, we typically keep our packaging very simple when we start out. The reason for that is we're not building this huge big brand. That's not what we're about at Marketplace Superheroes. We want to build a house brand and have lots of products underneath that brand. That's how we operate. So we don't really worry too much about amazing packaging, and people will tell you, oh, it's $1,000 or whatever to get my packaging done, $500. No, like, you can do a really simple design. Some members, even though it's not ideal, they just put it in white boxes. I would say just do a really, really simple design. You could probably pay $100 for that, and somewhere like Fiverr or Upwork, 99 Designs, something like that. But keep your packaging simple when you start out. You can get more complex with time. We'll move on to shipping now, a very common question. I can't give you a shipping cost. All right. And the reason I can't give you a shipping cost is I don't know how big your order is. The whole thing in this industry, you have to understand, is the cost price to import something. It depends on a number of factors. How big the product is, because you're taking up space in a container. That is the biggest issue that there is. If you fly something in, which you should not do, you're paying per weight. So again, like I don't know anything about your product. I have no information whatsoever. So it's hard for me to say because I can't even say, well, what's a standard shipping? Like what's standard mean? I mean, it just depends, right? So I would say though, you're probably looking at for your shipping anywhere from, I'm just going to give you rough figures, $300 to $1,000, right? And that depends on so many factors. And also you might think, oh, it sounds like a lot. But it depends. Like if it's a really small order and it's like a couple of boxes, that's not going to be expensive, especially if you use superhero freight, something that we own and control. If you use a freight forwarder, it'll be a lot more expensive. But if you're shipping in like a pallet, which is 2 cubic meters, and this is the thing you got to learn, which again, you can learn from us about size of products, the weight of products. Your supplier will give you a lot of this information. But the trouble is that we're in this world where people just want to give you the numbers. But we can't give you the numbers if we don't have the information from you. So that's just an approximate. I hope it gives you something, but it's impossible for me to be any more specific without having some details. Next thing to talk about are samples. Some people, when I tell them it's about $200 to sample a product, which means you get 3 or 4, maybe as much as 10, depending on the size of the product and the weight of the product, right? From your supplier as a sample of what the product is going to be like. If I say it's about $200 to get that delivered, people freak out.
That's too expensive.
That's just silly. The reason it's silly is because if that's the wrong product, if it's poor quality product or anything in between, why would you risk your business for a $200 investment? It's just silly. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And anybody who's telling you not to sample products is just insane. They're out of their mind, okay? So you're talking about that per product. But it depends. It could be less. It could be a little bit more. Don't skip this step. We skipped this step a number of times in our careers and it always hurt us. It was never a good thing. So put the money down for a sample and remember, like, it's not a cost. It's something that's an investment that's going to make you money for a long, long time. And it's one of those things that's just required to get the ball rolling. Now, let's keep moving. Product imagery, product photography. I don't know, photography sounded really weird there. Whatever you want to call it, getting the images of your product done. Now, there's a big range of pricing here. When you work with ourselves, we have our own in-house team. Depending on the type of package you're going for, it's probably somewhere in around $100 plus to get your products all shot. But if you go outside of ourselves, it's probably going to be as much as $500 to even $1,000 to get one product shot. That's obviously a big benefit of being part of Marketplace Superheroes. You get access to a lot of our team and stuff like that, and you get big discounts on these kinds of services. But that's the sort of the range you're talking about. I'm assuming you'll be working with us, so anywhere from $100 to $200 to get everything shot beautifully. That's what you're talking about. Now, do not get into getting something into a lifestyle image or something like that. It's just not worth the money. There's no one out there who's going to tell me definitely lifestyle images on any product is going to be better. The types of products that we are selling, you and I are selling, they're a lot simpler in nature. They're less competitive. You will not need unbelievable lifestyle images. It's just not going to be required. So that's the price point there. Now, just to kind of wrap things up, we're getting into logo design. Again, Fiverr, 99 Designs, Upwork. Big range of pricing here. Don't spend forever on your logo. It really doesn't matter. You can improve it with time. So I'm going to say $25 to $100 is your range that you're looking at here. And then just to finalize this whole thing, there's other stuff you're going to do in time related to this, like trademarks and stuff like that. There's no point talking about that right now because you need to be trading to get a trademark. And also, if all you're doing is focused on the cost, you're not going to be a successful business owner. What you got to do is focus on how much will this make me. So the total investment here from inventory, about 2,000, barcodes, about 2,250, shipping, I'm going to say 500, so 2,750. We're getting into samples, 200, so let's just say it's $3,000 right now. Images, 100, so 3,100. Getting into logos, about 50, so let's say it's 3,150. Business setup, $500, so 360. So less than $4,000, you can launch your business. No problem whatsoever. That's absolutely doable. But you won't pay it out all at once. It's not like you have 4,000 and I have it ready and here you go. That's not how this works. It's a thing called cash flow. Money's going to come in when you start making sales. You're going to use some of that money to keep yourself moving. It's a complicated thing. You got to get into a place where you can learn this from scratch. Don't try and put all this together from a whole bunch of YouTube videos. It's not a good idea. So I'm going to invite you to go down below, click the like button on this video, and jump down to the description or the pinned comment and grab some free training where we can show you how to do all of this the right way. A lot of these concerns are really, really simple. And when you come into our world, you'll see that it's a step-up process. It just takes time. You will not pay all this out at once. So get yourself down to the description description or the pinned comment, get our free training, and I look forward to working with you in the very near future. Thank you as always for watching this video. Give it some love. Please give this video a like. We really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.